I don't know about other artists, but I find that naming albums and CDs is brutally difficult. And in this case, Emotional Remains is from a lyric from a song on the album called Done to Me. And the line that I wrote is, "Now the only thing that's left are my emotional remains." There's a lot of blood from these songs on this record, and I'm generally a pretty happy guy, and so sometimes the best way for me to express those fears and that darkness is in songs. When I go through those periods of darkness, I leave that stuff behind and I find another door to go through. So, but I don't know, it also just sounds good to me. Emotional Remains, I just thought was kind of a cool title. But I started my career at rock radio. I was a rock artist before I was a pop artist. So my first single, my first album, was a song called Don't Mean Nothing, which was first released to rock radio and went to #1 at rock radio. So I am always going to be a product of my influences, and I listen to modern rock. So this is, to me, a really obvious direction for me. And if it surprises people, that's cool, but it really doesn't surprise me, because this is, in a way, kind of what I think I've always been doing. I've been fortunate enough to get some really great guest stars, and this album is not an exception. I have Matt Scannell from Vertical Horizon, who I wrote a couple of songs with and co-produced one with. I was a big Tubes fan, and Fee Waybill, who is my best friend in the world, and I think he's the greatest lyricist in rock and roll. So when we write together, two things happen. One is that I write the music and he writes the lyrics. And when I record the song, he always ends up coming and singing on something on the record. That's sort of like, if I forget, he reminds me. On a song called Take You Back, Kenny Loggins is singing all the background vocals. He also produced my lead vocal on that track. He had some ideas for me singing that track a little bit differently in spots, and it was great having somebody that I consider such a masterful singer producing my vocal. And it was sort of business as usual. But then every once in a while I would kind of go, that's Kenny freaking Loggins. And I was 15 years old in my basement again, trying to sound just like him on Keep the Fire or This Is It. So it was a pretty amazing experience. There's a song on this album called Through My Veins, which is certainly my favorite song from this album, but possibly my favorite song that I've ever written. I usually don't talk about what songs are about, but this is very much about my father, who passed away about 12 years ago. We had an extraordinary relationship. We just had an exceptional bond, and we shared music together. He was the most talented musician I've ever known, and so we connected on many levels. I've written a couple of songs about him or with him in mind, but this song, as much as I miss him to this day, there's not a minute that goes by that I don't miss him terribly. He's still a really powerful presence in my life. It had actually been a while since I'd written anything at the piano. I've been writing so much on guitar. This was just easy. It was like he was there in the room. It was like he was guiding me to write this song. I know that it's resonating with people, which is a great thing. It's not what I ever intend. I always write songs from a really selfish. I don't ever presume to think that I know how to write a song that's going to connect with somebody else. I love when I really feel that a song is resonating with other people. So I think this is a song that is deeply personal to me, but also speaks to a lot of other people and anybody that's experienced loss of any kind. I think the hardest part about having had success in the music business is music should always change and should always evolve. For me, it was all about writing songs and making the best records I could and doing the best live show. And I didn't go to the parties and I didn't go to premieres and stuff like that. I just had no interest in it. When you feel like you still have a ton of music in you, what do you do with that? And in my case, I was really blessed in that I kind of returned to where I began before I had a record deal, which was writing and producing other artists. and it allows me to be involved with all kinds of different music that I would never get away with as a singer. My goals back in the early 80s when I was trying to get a record deal were just to last in some way, shape, or form, to always be able to have music be what I do. I'm still hungry, and I'm still after a great song. I'm still trying really hard to write a great song. I think I've written some good songs, but I don't think I've written a great song yet. And that's a challenge I'll never give up on. And in the meantime, I'm just having a tremendous amount of fun.